Welcome back to TK Tennis. So during the semifinals at Indian Wells between Jack Draper and Carlos Alcaraz, there was another major screw up by the official. In this case, it was Mohamed Lahyani regarding a double bounce situation. And again, Jack Draper is involved in this one, much like he was last year as well. Now, Mohamed Lahyani, by all accounts, seems to be a well-respected official. But this is just another case of there seemed to be an epidemic problem with incompetent ATP officiating, especially when it comes to double bounces. Now, I don't think anyone is really talking about this because at the end, they actually got it right. But in this case, Mohamed Lahyani had two instances of poor judgment on one single point. Let's take a look at the double bounce. And keep in mind that at this tournament, they use instant replay or VAR to determine if there was a double bounce. Here it comes.
No, Lahyani says no, not touching. He's going to ask for the VR. Draper's going to want to see it again.
See if it was a double bounce. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm too quick.
Oh, can you believe?
All right, take a look at what he just said first. He actually knows he probably made a mistake. He says, I may be wrong, I may be wrong. And here's the first major mistake that the umpire is making. He knows there's VAR, so there is no reason for him to call a stoppage or play or even to call this double bounce unless it's really clear and obvious. And it's pretty obvious that it looks like Jack Draper, even from this angle, probably got the ball. But the umpire decides to jump in and decide that this was a double bounce when he knows full well VAR is being used at this tournament. And like in most other sports that use VAR, whether it's soccer or it's hockey or many other sports that use VAR, there is no reason for the umpire to stop play. He can instead let the point play out like he should do, and then if it was determined as a double bounce, they can use VAR to determine that and decide what to do with the point. So in the very first case here is the umpire has no business getting involved and calling a double bounce. And haven't these umpires learned? They seem to be incapable of calling double bounces. They seem to get it wrong more often than they get it right. So when you have VAR, just stay out of it and let the point play out. Now let's take a look at the second poor decision and the replay of this point. Now we only have the replay from the screen behind the court. But even this grainy replay, you can clearly see, and the announcers can see, and everybody in the stands can see, that Jack Draper got to this ball before it bounced twice. Let's take a look.
A window, doesn't he? We got to get him to the side there.
Gets underneath the ball
Carlos
and scoops it up and over.
Exactly.
Yeah, he got that up comfortably.
Ladies and gentlemen, after review, Mr. Draper made it on the first bounce. Replay report.
All right, did you just hear that? So the review confirmed that Jack Draper got the ball on the first bounce, but then Mohamed Lahyani decides that they need to replay the point because he's claiming that he was stopping play and it may have interfered with Carlos Alcaraz. But let's take a look and see if it did interfere with Carlos Alcaraz.
Yeah, this is a little troublesome for Jack.
This is why I don't think the umpire should intervene.
That's right. The umpire should absolutely not intervene in this case.
Yeah, Jack's asking for video review of positioning of Alcaraz if he had a play on the point.
Yeah.
So the decision was made to replay the point, a point that Jack Draper clearly was going to win. And now Jack Draper is asking for VAR to review that instance as well to see if Carlos Alcaraz actually had a good play on the ball. And he did get the ball back over to Jack Draper's side of the net, but it was well out of bounds.
And he missed the move. Look, can we do a video review on that?
Now you can see that Mohamed Lahyani is putting on the headset, asking for the review, and being able to talk to the back room to help him make a decision.
Let the ball bounce.
Well, Lahyani's point is it's going to be hindrance on the play by Alcaraz,
So
whether or
you
not
can see Alcaraz
he was
clearly
going to
didn't
find
make
his
the
way
shot.
into the court.
After review, ladies and gentlemen, the not-up call was late, so the point goes to Mr. Draper.
Okay, wow.
Okay, so at the end, Mohamed Lahyani did award the point to Jack Draper, but I don't think it was his decision. He clearly had the headset on, and it certainly seems like to me that he was told by the people in the VAR room that Carlos Alcaraz didn't have a play on the ball, and he ended up correcting himself. which ultimately was the right decision. But again, there was 2 horrible decisions made by the umpire in this one point. And it goes to show that the ATP and the tours in general are not training their umpires properly in how to handle these situations. All right, now in closing, I want to talk about Jack Draper and how he handled it versus how he handled the incident last year, where it was a double bounce, where he hit the ball into the court and then over, and then ended up taking the point. In that case, it was against Felix Auger-Aliassime, and he ended up taking the point, and he got a lot of flack for not being a good sport last year. Now, I criticized Jack Draper as well, along with many, many other YouTube content creators and many other pundits in the space, and it seemed to affect Draper. I think he's someone of high moral character, and I think he just made a mistake last year, and he learned from it, which is awesome, because what you're going to see here is he's going to go up to Carlos Alcaraz and ask him, did the umpire trying to stop play interfere with Carlos Alcaraz? We'll take a look.
Yeah, Alcaraz sportsmanship doesn't contest.
I'd love to see that. The 2 players almost sawn out between them.
Now that was awesome. You can clearly see Carlos gesturing to the umpire that his call had no effect on him and that he ended up hitting the ball wide, so it was a non-issue. So bravo to both players in this case for overcoming a bad situation where the umpire made 2 bad mistakes. My argument that tennis is one of the easiest sports to umpire, particularly when you have even instant replay on double bounces between electric line calling and VAR when it's available. And by the way, it's not available at all tournaments, but it was available here. It could not get any easier to be an umpire in any major sport than it is for tennis. Yet we continue to see regular mistakes by these umpires, and it seems to be from poor training or lack of wherewithal. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next ace, and don't forget to like and subscribe.